This is how I see the inside of myself, my mind, and my heart. Hi everyone! Art is finally back on SoCraftastic. It has actually been over a year since I posted my previous traditional art themed videos, and it kind of took until a collaboration to get me back to doing what I really truly love. This video is all about hope and healing. This is part of a giant collaboration. It's going to include at least 50 artists over the next year or so. It's a Pantone color collab, and I will let Christine and Mike explain a little bit to you.
The monster universe is in trouble. The Rainbow Bridge fell apart because too many artists stopped experimenting with color. Thank you for volunteering to help the monster universe with your creativity.
So in addition to restoring color to the monster universe, bringing those shards of the bridge back together, this piece also is really dear to my heart because it's about my own growth journey and how I've been trying to heal. The majority of this is going to be the process of me creating. I'm going to explain how I'm creating it, the different mediums I'm working with. It's a mixed media piece, so it's really exciting. The explanation will be at the very end, but just know that cheating, betrayal, and infidelity can really, 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 truly break someone more than they have ever been broken before. It happened to me, and I am still piecing myself back together. But there is hope for any of you who are going through a similar situation. I'm back. You see, I'm here again, and I feel stronger than I did before. I feel like I'm building a version of me that is going to be even better. I have more wisdom now, I have more experience under my belt, and I still have so much love to give in my heart. I'm not going to let this get me down, and I'm not going to let it allow me to believe the worst in everyone. I still want to believe that love exists and that not everyone is a snake. Before I get too sappy, let me save that until the end. I think we should just get into the artwork. I know I'm a little rusty at intros, but let's go. Which way? Here we are in my garage. This shelving unit has tons of wooden shapes, wood slices, and canvases to paint on. And venturing down to the very bottom here, I'm going to choose a very sad looking wooden canvas. You can see it has tiny indents all over the surface. I don't know what happened to it, but along with those, there's a fairly large crack. This thing is a mess. So it's a great candidate for the mixed media piece I have in mind. If you were wondering, by the way, the canvas I chose is nearly 15.5 inches long, or about 40 centimeters. So it's a decent size to work with. The first thing I'm doing is actually grabbing some aluminum foil. And while I rewatch The Walking Dead with Phoenix and Muse lurking in the background here. What is that? I am going to attempt to create a 3D heart sculpture. That is after the cats had their fill with checking out and biting the foil. Okay, they get a few more minutes because I decided to rip a piece off a corrugated box and draw half a heart shape on one side of the fold. Then I bent that back in half, and with a pair of scissors, I'm cutting along the marker line. Now I'm testing that out, and as I suspected, it's a little bit bigger than I wanted. So I adjusted the size by trimming along the inside of the orange guideline. Let's see what the new heart looks like. Ooh, yes, this is much better. Way more what I had in mind. Having a base for my sculpture will make shaping the foil considerably easier. I don't want to spend too much time explaining this because I'm mainly attaching large pieces of foil, building up dimension, and securing my progress with pieces of duct tape, which were surprisingly difficult to cut even though these scissors are supposedly non-stick. I probably need to sharpen the blades, which actually I think can be done with foil. Anyway, in some areas I also used balled up pieces of tissue paper, mainly because it was easier to shape. Oh, and how ironic that Negan is in the background at the moment. He's definitely not the most loving character by any means. This heart does not represent him at all. I did like his character arc though. Final step was to add an outer shell of foil, and now we can take it over to the canvas, and I'm gonna grab some white acrylic paint to kind of prime the wood. Hi. Well, maybe, if Phoenix lets me. I've seriously had this big tub of white Craft Smart paint for years, yet have never used it until now. I'm using one of my large paint brushes, which I'm pretty sure I got from Dollar Tree quite a while back. You know, when things were actually still $1. It works really well. You don't always need fancy supplies to create. After applying a smooth, even coat to the entire canvas, including all the edges, I'm going to set that to the side to dry. And now it's time I reveal my first color to you.
Dice roll. Oof, let's see, number 5. Now that you've got your color, it's up to you to use it in any creative project to help restore the Rainbow Bridge. Mike and I can't wait to see what you create.
As you can see, Mike and Christine randomly selected Pantone color 605 for me. In their video clip, I thought it was more of a lime green, but according to my in-person example, I'm going to try to mix a color that appears to be more of a, my urine looks a little bit too yellow, I should probably drink some more water type hue. Oddly specific. Keep in mind I said attempt. Wet paint looks a little bit different than it does when it dries, and digital color examples appear to be either warmer or cooler depending on the screen you're watching from. So there's a lot of variables. That being said, I came up with this. Neon mustard? Perhaps? Hopefully the Rainbow Bridge accepts my offering. Oh, and I mixed way too much. But that's actually great since I can save it for any potential touch-ups that may have to be made later. And there will be, spoiler alert. With these acrylic paint markers, I'm gonna do something that I haven't done in quite a while. Doodle. So I swear this isn't an ad, but I want to tell you that I really love the Sharpie creative markers. I did a video about them here on my channel last summer if you're interested in seeing me compare them to Posca paint pens. Back then though, they didn't have fine tip to my knowledge, so I didn't get to try those. However, Amazon has this fun bundle set if you would like to try them all. I'll put it in the description box below with my affiliate link. Let me know if you like them because I really shouldn't be buying more art supplies, but oh, I'm so tempted. Oh my gosh, especially after just learning that more colors have been released. What? I was searching Google while writing this voiceover. I had no idea. What if I make a custom canvas shoes with every Sharpie creative marker color ever? And if I do make the new video and it does well, like my video from 2019, shameless self-promo, they'll end up paying for themselves. That'd be so cool. Please fund my art addiction, thank you. After getting more than halfway across the canvas with my white acrylic markers, they began to greatly struggle. The ink is definitely reaching its end. So now I've also enlisted one of my Posca whites to join the team. They need to take breaks in between with the cap on, and yeah, so you know, the Posca was also struggling, which the cool thing about doodling is, well, one, it's very relaxing, and two, there really are no mistakes, usually. Every once in a while, I make a line or two or three I absolutely hate, and I cannot allow them to continue to exist. No, this is awful. So this is where that touch-up paint comes in clutch. Just remember to let it dry before going back in with a paint pen or brush. P.S. If you want more inspiration for the types of doodle shapes I'm creating, look up mandala and or Zentangle doodles, and you'll come across tons and tons of examples for your artwork. I used the quote-unquote ink pool trick to push through. That way I could finish the rest of these doodles, hopefully. Also, that term is not an official one. I named the art hack myself. You probably knew that. Either way, it's very effective. In just a few seconds, I'm going to share the Pantone color that I personally chose. But first, I'm drawing this doodle barrier line. And this is going to create a separate section of the painting. Here I'm thickening it up a little bit. And here's the second color reveal. Peony pink, which for some reason I couldn't find in my formula guidebook, so I will have to depend on good old Google Images from my phone screen only. Well, I was gonna include this pink paint, but it's really chunky, even after adding water. On the flip side, this pink paint almost sounds too watery. It should be fine. I added a couple other colors to the scene, and now I mix and mix some more. At first it looked a little bit too cool in my opinion, so I plopped in some yellow to hopefully warm it up a tad. It's not perfect, but this will have to do. There's a lot I can save for later too. With a fairly small paintbrush, I'm carefully following along the white line like so, all the way across, even over the edge and the other edge, filling in that gap, followed by the bigger paintbrush. Ta-da! A fresh coat of peony to cover up the neon pea. Peep on his side. I can't. These colors actually go well together. I do believe that. And if it weren't for this challenge, I probably wouldn't have chosen them. The pink did dry darker than expected. However, because of the contrast, the white shows up even better in this section, so that's a win. I'm creating a smaller doodle chain here, and as you can see, there are some fallen shapes. I'll of course explain why this is at the end of the video. For now, you get to wonder a little bit longer while I go in with a black Sharpie creative marker. The brush tip worked great for adding these drips. And look how juicy the ink is. I made it rain down to this lower part of the upper level here, and those drippy droppies have pooled together and spawned into a black void flood. Why did that just make me think of the song Black Hole Sun? Won't you come? Actually, speaking of black holes, that's the next step. I'm using a silicone pot holder so I don't accidentally slice my fingers with this X-Acto knife. And as you can see, I'm cutting through the outermost layers of foil, some of the tissue paper, and a little bit of the duct tape too. I knew from the very beginning that I'd want to use real fire to damage my heart sculpture, and since foil doesn't burn, at least not at this low of flame temperatures, that is another reason I chose to include tissue paper in the construction. Ash isn't very stable, so I flaked off as much of the loose burnt pieces as I could. Then to intensify the char, I'm applying black paint to the entire hollowed out area like so. Now it's a permanent feature of the art piece. And I am prepping a spot on the canvas so glue will adhere better when I attach the heart. I'm wearing a glove for this because I don't want to feel the scratchy sandpaper against my skin, nor do I want a bunch of paint dust all over my hand. After wiping away the rubble with a damp paper towel off camera, it's ready to go. I am about to go glue the heart, and then I'm gonna let it dry out in my garage in the heated storage. I wanted to show you that I have quite a few touch-ups. You see there's all these little blue specks here. Well, this is splatter paint from my new painting. It's almost finished actually. So I was doing the splatter paint inside this box, but then there were some areas I wanted more paint in and I got lazy and I just did it all over my desk. Well, yeah, so now there are splatters here, over here. I got a new iPhone, by the way. There are some on my lovely pink chair. It is water-based paint, so I don't know, hopefully it'll come out. And some on the floor, which I already know just kind of comes right up, but there's a lot of them. It went way back here even. Oh, what was I thinking? Then my lack of clear thinking carried over into the E6000 glue step. How wonderful. I knew I didn't want the fumes inside my house for longer than the quick close-up shot, so with the garage door fully open, I went to work on adhering the heart to the canvas in a location I thought would have enough ventilation to not wear a mask or safety glasses. Stupid assumption. First of all, I should have set up closer to the front of my garage, And secondly, I should have worn the darn PPE. I felt fine the rest of this evening, but when I woke up the next day, I immediately started sneezing and was blowing my nose for hours. No exaggeration, plus my eyes felt extra dry. I'm almost positive it was the glue because the following day, all the symptoms disappeared. Really, it was just uncomfortable, but it was unnecessary discomfort. I am really glad though I decided to keep the piece in my heated storage room overnight while it dried to keep any lingering fumes away from my cats. Oh, and I hope you enjoy this throwback glimpse of a few pairs of my old custom canvas shoes. Recognize any of them? The blank pair does look pretty nasty, but I think I can still work with them in a future makeover. Good night, you smelly glue. About 24 hours later, I brought the artwork back inside, removed the yarn that was helping to hold the heart in place, and look, it did a great job. No movage. And now it's time to figure out how to finish the bottom part of the canvas. Initially, I was going to attach black pieces of yarn in a swirly pattern coming out of the heart, but after testing a few different setups, I decided against it. Next, I contemplated a design that would involve a bundle of black tulle fabric, which I sewed together at one end with a small amount of thread and a needle. No, again, it's just not right. What about air dry clay? I had opened this block of Sculpey back in 2022, and now it's dry and crumbly on one end, but the other side still has some life to it. I think I can revive the entire block though, eventually. I broke the big chunk of clay into smaller pieces and put them in a couple sandwich bags. Then I added some distilled water and let the clay sit in the sealed bags overnight. Look at this, pretty much good as new. But how unfortunate the first piece appears to be shaped like a fish. Yeah, we'll go with that. The plan is to make the clay look like it's oozing out of the broken part of the heart. I chose to go with drips again, big surprise, to bring unity to this art piece as a whole. Since there are pops of black in the upper left-hand corner of the canvas, adding more down here will help balance everything out. I used water to help me smooth the seams where I attached more pieces of clay. Then, after getting the basic shapes in place, I grabbed my OG polymer clay toolbox. I did a tour of this back when I lived in Oklahoma, and I pulled out a couple of my favorite shapers. These are really wonderful because they have flexible silicone tips. You saw I tried to clean the excess clay from around the shapes earlier, but a little bit still remains. That's fine because I'll probably end up painting another area of black onto the bottom of the canvas in addition to painting the sculpted drips. Before that can happen though, I'm letting the sculpted edition dry slowly with a plastic bag on top of it. This will help to prevent cracks as the clay hardens. After 4 full days of drying, yes, I let it dry that slowly, you can see there are some minor cracks, but otherwise the clay has remained in shape and in place. I'm happy with it. As I mentioned, more black acrylic paint is being added to the scene, and I was also contemplating adding some pink embellishments, which I'm not sure how I feel about. I don't know if they ended up making the cut. If not, let me know your thoughts on what I should add to the bottom, if anything, because I felt like in order to tie my story together, I have to somehow show a color trying to take over the black to try to repair that area. And yeah, I guess that brings us to the explanation though. What exactly does this art mean? Well, wait, actually first, let me reveal the next artist in line. It's none other than my friend Cassie from the Cassie Projects. She's absolutely wonderful and of course, so very creative. So you will not want to miss her upcoming episode in this huge Pantone collaboration. Eventually there will be about 50 artists taking place, so we can all help restore colors to the Rainbow Bridge and get back to the monster universe. A huge thank you to Christine from Courageous Painting for allowing me to be a part of this group and this journey. I'll link the playlist below, which includes every single episode in this series so far. And by the way, if you missed Rose's video, she took her turn before me, which is very similar, as she mentioned, to create this book 3. So I'll link that collab as well. First of all, it's not completely done, but here's the meaning of the piece. This represents what I feel is going on in my head and my heart at the moment, how it actually looks. The broken heart is obviously very straightforward. I still have that pain. It's not as big as it once was. There's going to be some flowing black down here, and I really want to put something that makes it look like it's healing. A year ago, this same heart of mine, even bigger hole, way more black flowing all over. This whole thing was basically flooded black. There was no color. I'm not even exaggerating. I just felt like everything was a black hole. Every morning I would wake up and it would just feel the same as the previous day. I wasn't motivated to post videos. I wasn't motivated to kind of believe the best was yet to come and that there would be better days again. I had a previous failed relationship, and you guys know about that one. That was almost a decade long, and I did kind of open up about that, and that's part of what this is. But this piece is more so about my more recent relationship. After coming out of a really dark relationship prior, I got into another one with someone who I thought I was gonna marry again. When I tell you, I thought that this man was sent to me by God to help heal me, and he did. He helped heal me for over a year from the pain that I had endured prior to meeting him, only to end up shattering me even worse than I was before I met him. So when I found out that I was used for my body by a man who I loved with my whole heart, he gave me that hope. He led me on with so many beautiful words and promises that summer, only to find out that he had a girlfriend and she was away on vacation while I was over his house, in his bed, stripped down next to him, skin to skin, holding hands, intertwined fingers, and passionately kissing, and that's the last memory I have of anything that beautiful. And to realize that it wasn't actually real is what hurts me every single day. I can't go a day without thinking about that, and that is what this blackness dripping into the top is. There used to be way more up here. There used to be, like I said, the whole painting. Sorry, my battery died. These colors started appearing over the past few months, and before that there were just these little tiny specks of maybe color poking through the pure darkness. It was just literal hell to live on earth every single day, and I didn't know when the pain would stop. I still have a really long way to go in my healing journey. My mind is still, as you can see, a little bit filled with things that shouldn't be there. There shouldn't be this oozing, dripping black. It's kind of cool looking, but it doesn't feel cool. It's not fun to remember every single day, even when I don't want to think about it, that my ex is telling everyone, supposedly, that nothing happened when he invited me over. I was there and I lived that moment, and I wish that I didn't have to remember it. I kind of wish that I could get a lobotomy so I wouldn't have to think about it. I wouldn't have to have nightmares about it. And that is where this broken doodle comes in. So over time, I started clearing out the black gunk. The first steps of repair were trying to separate my heart from my mind so the blackness from my head wouldn't seep down into my heart and my soul. So that's why there's so much color in between. The doodles are what separate these dark thoughts. Now, when I get a little bit lazy, hence the triangles that fell down, there are weak spots, and there are still those weak spots. I never know when I'm gonna have a really good day or a not so good day. Still, aesthetically, this may not be my favorite piece, but the meaning behind it is something that I will cherish forever. Every time I look back on this, hopefully from much better days in the future, I will see the progress of my healing journey, and hopefully at that point I won't have this black inside of me, this darkness, this void oozing. Hopefully by then I can picture this scene in my body without any of the drips or any of the black floods. Hopefully one day I will feel at peace and clean and whole again. Only colors, only lights, only doodles, instead of this mess. I truly believe that that will happen for me. And if you happen to have any of this mess inside of you right now, you feel like your days are really difficult to get through, you can turn to my videos and know that even when I appear to be really, really happy and like I'm moving forward, I'm pushing myself through every single day because I don't want to give up. One day I hope I can look in this camera, look you in the eyes and say, I'm happy again, truly. And that is what this piece represents, the hope of the healing journey. So if you happen to be struggling in any way, I am living proof that you can wake up tomorrow and get through one day at a time. You can do it. It's really, really extremely difficult, and sometimes the pain is overwhelmingly unbearable. But I fought through. I said a lot of prayers. I read a lot of motivational quotes, talked to a lot of different people. I embraced therapy. I made my own personal therapies, such as art and crafting, lots of Netflix, lots of escapism as well. But you do have to take that time to process in order to heal. You have to put the work in, otherwise you'll be stuck in those dark times. And even though I'm no longer stuck in those dark times, the darkness is still a part of me. It's just getting smaller as time goes on. One day I hope it disappears, and I truly believe that it can, and it will. Here's to hope. But when you see me on here happy and peppy in the moments where I feel like filming, do not forget that this is what I'm doing behind the scenes. I am processing every single negative, painful emotion that I have lived through. I want to share my art and my passions with you, and I am not going to allow anyone to take that away from me. Thank you so much for being here. I know that I can get back to who I was in an even better version of myself as time goes on, and this channel will be a really cool, fun place again. Anyone who has been with me the past couple years, I mean the past few years, you know, I haven't been as consistent. I've been so lost and so broken, and I tried really hard to hide that for a long time. I couldn't hide it anymore, so that's what this video is, and that's what the previous, a few videos back, you know, that explanation was as well. I couldn't show up the ways that I did prior, but I am getting back to that, and I'm learning what really is important to me again. So I'm gonna push myself harder than I ever have before, and I'm going to be a living example that when things crumble and fall apart, you do not have to, it's not the end. There is rebuilding after breaking. You can rise again after your rock bottom. Thank you so very much for watching. I love you so much. If no one's told you that today, you have love here, and we can get through this together. I hope to see you back here in my next video, which is going to be the Crayola eraser maker, finally. I did film that a year ago, so I'm gonna look a lot different, and the energy is gonna be a little bit higher, but hey, hopefully I can be that woman again, but just a more improved and healed version with more wisdom. Darkness can only last so long before the light shines through. I'll see you very soon. Have a great rest of your day. Bye. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, I thought the autofocus wasn't on. I was about to panic that my whole intro was like out of focus.